anything else after that. Your iman and your aqidah, your marriage and your household and your family, and then your finances. That could mess a person's life up. Gotta have a way of earning, right? And you gotta give it time every day. I'm telling you, the way of life that the Prophet ﷺ gave his Sahaba is very different from what we're about to read here in the New York Times, where people can now go to the moon in their careers. They could do so well in their careers. And it's tempting. It's tempting to live your life trying to be the most influential, the most successful, the most everything. But there are costs to that. Sometimes I wish, like I long back for the old days where there's no worries about having to say anything on social media or anything like that, and you live a very simple life. Allah protects you from many other things. And this way of living makes a lot of people feel regret. I can't believe he's doing it, but I'm not. That's not really, in the end of the day, what gives a person satisfaction and happiness. A lot of these people, as we're going to see here, they're imbalanced. They're completely imbalanced. Their family lives are messed up. Their spiritual life is filled with grief. Sheikh Yahya, I was chit-chatting with him the other day about Qabd, about grief and sadness. And he said it often comes with fame, that Allah Ta'ala, through asbab, usually through means, through errors, through asbab, through a means, brings grief to a person. And he said, hifadhan alayh, to preserve him. Because the world can get so big in his head, and he's giving so much attention to it, he forgot Allah. And the way to bring you back is to pour bitterness into your heart. This is what we call qabd. And qabd, you can never escape it. Even the greatest and the kibar of the awliya, they have no mistakes, they receive qabd. The qabd comes to them without a reason, for no reason. We may receive qabd because we messed up with something. We fell into a debt. We said something wrong that bothered somebody. We have a problem at work, problem at home. So this causes qabd into a person and makes that person flee to Allah. That's the real reason behind bad things happening. But what about those people who are kummal? Their deeds are perfect, their deen is perfect. Their huquq they give to people is perfect. Their urf and their speech is perfect, doesn't go over bounds, doesn't insult anybody. So there's no sabab to make them fall into grief or have a problem. He said they get it anyway. Allah pours it without a sabab. Pours that on their hearts without a sabab to increase their return back to him. So there's no escaping of these things, but you have to understand the reason. You have to understand the reason. It's to make us turn back to him. So these lifestyles are very, very illusory. It's an illusion. Let's actually see what the article says. Young, secular, politically progressive men, women having children has become something of an afterthought. Liberal conventional wisdom encourages people to spend their 20s on journeys of personal and professional self-discovery and self-fulfillment. Children are treated as a bonus round, something to get only after completing a long list of achievements, getting a degree, forging a satisfying and well-established career, buying a house, cultivating the ideal romantic partnership. The standard, let me tell you something. I talked to a sheikh the other day, just chit-chatting with one of my colleagues. He said to me, there was a huge program in his masjid. And I said, how'd it go? Big shuyukh were there. I said, how'd it go? He said, honest truth is, I was excited for the program. How it went and all that stuff. The place was packed, 2,000 people, something. He said, to tell you the truth, I didn't go, right? He said, as I had accidentally promised my daughter I'd take her out on that Friday night. And he said, to tell you the truth, I took her out. We hung out. We stayed out late. We came home. Everyone was asleep. We took out the cereal and watched TV for an extra half hour. And then we went to saw her up to sleep, and I went to sleep. We said, wallahi, that was the most satisfying Friday night I ever had. And he's like speaking at a different masjid every night. You think that every week, you think that he sits in front of 2,000-3,000 people every single Friday night. if he's on his tours, right? You would think that's the most satisfying thing. He said, by Allah, no, and he said, nobody knows. This is not something that's ever going to be out there. These are the most satisfying things tend to be things that nobody knows, right? I'm telling you how to live based on these people's experience and these books and all these things that are pointing to what is the prophetic way and is far greater than the Western way, the individualistic way of climbing a mountain of your career and being up there alone. Yeah, people came and took pictures of you and write articles about you. Then they leave and you stay alone. And that's the problem. The standards of readiness for family, he says, are at once so high and so vague that it's hardly a surprise when people fail to reach them. Indeed, the data suggests that people are having children later than they used to and having fewer than they'd like. I actually accidentally insulted a whole crowd of people that I was talking to the other day. And I talked about the only child. Sometimes people have one kid. Sometimes they have two kids. And oftentimes the happiness of kids is not in 1 and 2. It's in the group, right? It's in the group when there's 3 and 4. 4 is maybe the best number because you have even numbers, 2 and 2. 3, someone may be left out. But then I said, I went off on the whole only child. Like they're awkward, they have to learn social skills, they never learned how to share. I went off, right? And I said, wait a second, who here is only child? Like half the room. So no offense to them, but it is fair observations though, right? For progressives, wanting to have children has also become a kind of ethical imperative. Gender equality and female empowerment demand that women's self-advancement not be sacrificed on the altar of motherhood. This is the satanic lie, a cheat, just to cheat you out from the thing that will make a person the most happy. It's one of those things that you hear people say, but you don't really believe it until you live it yourself. This is going to make you the most happy, right? Why some people, when they have a big family and kids, they end up not having the most success in their career? I'll tell you the number one reason: they don't feel the need to. They're not driven by demons. They don't feel the need to have that success anymore, right? And when you look at a guy like Steve Jobs, because he was rejected, he has such a big hole in his heart. That's why he was working 24 hours a day, because a huge hole in his heart when his parents gave him up like that. And he doesn't know who his real mom and dad was, right? Turned out his dad was a waiter at a restaurant he used to go visit all the time, right? Imagine just imagine the psychology of the trauma of a person who discovers in middle of his life, the waiter that serves you the food, right, is your dad. He said, after that, I didn't want to talk to my dad. He gave me up, so why would I want to talk to him? But he did leave him bigger tips. So here, I think they're telling a lie to people. They're lying to people, and it's a satanic trap. Shaitan does not want you to enjoy the ni'mah of life, and children is also what makes you a better person. Because now you are a teacher whether you like it or not. You are an imam whether you like it or not. In Islam, you're an imam whether you like it or not. The moment you have kids, you're their sheikh. Not by your words, but by your behavior. How many people that I knew who in the deen side of things were more on the wayward side? But as soon as they got married and had kids, they got to bring their kids to the Quran, right? They got to bring their kids to hifz. And just dropping them off, it transforms them. Just dropping the kid off.